And you'll see me doing things. I looked at that and I thought, what is that preacher up there doing, fooling around, shuffling papers on the pew while everybody else is singing? And so learned some things about myself. And, you know, some of your backsides don't look so good either. But anyway, if you would like to see our services online, I'm not going to mention any names. But, and she's not here doing it this morning, I guess. So anyway, if you miss a service and would like to, it's going? Okay. All right. Well, that'll be on there too. All right then. With eyes wide open. Yes, Melanie.
Bill, I brought some squash this morning. Spaghetti squash, different kinds of squash. Back there if anybody would like some.
Yeah, everybody hear that? Free spaghetti squash and other kinds too, I guess, huh? All right. 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 8 to 23. I'm going to have it up on the screen, but maybe you'd rather look it up in your own Bibles. 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 8 to 23. I love this story. I know I've preached from it at other times, but I don't think I ever have here. 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 8 to 23. Before we get to that, let me set the stage for you a little bit and say a couple things to you. One thing that we don't realize, a couple things. Thing number one, there is a physical and a metaphysical world that are in existence right now. You don't have to raise your hand, but do any of you watch Ghost Whisperer? Well, some of the teens admit to it. Again, don't have to admit it. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe that there's a spirit world? Do you believe that there are things around us that are spiritual things that we cannot see with our physical eyes? You cannot read the Bible without believing that. It was kind of interesting to me, I taught high school science for a number of years, and sort of through the week I'd be teaching about the physical world. And that relies strictly on your senses. What you can see or hear or taste or smell or feel. And that's all. If you can't experience it with your senses, it's like it doesn't exist. But then I'd get up in the pulpit on Sunday morning and I'd be talking about the metaphysical world. Because mostly when I'm preaching, I'm talking about things that you can't see, that I can't show you, that I can't exhibit, that you can't experience physically. But there is a metaphysical world. Things that are here, and we as Christians ought to realize that, because it's not just bad things, it's also good things. That's one thing we need to be reminded of. The second thing that we need to be reminded of, that was true in the Old Testament and still true today, and that is that we are at war. We are in a battle. We are fighting. When I read some of the Psalms, or if you read some of the Psalms, David was a warrior. And he often would say to the Lord, "You are my shield. You are my buckler. You are my strong tower." Amen. Those were military terms. David was a military man. He understood soldiering. And it doesn't change when we get to the New Testament. For the New Testament says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And the Bible also tells us that He gives His angels watch care over you. One Sunday night we talked in our Bible study about angels and the fact that they are real and that they're here. So two things we got to keep in mind as we look at the scripture today. One is that there is a metaphysical and unseen world, and secondly, that we are at war. So this is an Old Testament battle, which reminds me of kind of a funny story. When I was in Bible college, a lot of us had not had any formal after high school kind of education. And we were assigned to write 2,000-word papers, term papers. One time, this fellow, I remember, he wrote his term paper, and it was not 2,000 words. It was short of that. But he had in his term paper, he had the story of an Old Testament battle. So he just added about 500 zings of the arrows, and that would add up to 2,000 words. Anyway, okay. Verse 8, now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officers, he said, I will set up my camp in such and such a place. The man of God sent word to the king of Israel, beware of passing that place, because the Arameans are going down there. So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again Elisha warned the king so that he was on his guard in such places. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, will you not tell me which of us is on the side of the king of Israel? None of us, my lord the king, said one of his officers. But Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. Go, find out where he is, the king ordered, so I can send men and capture him. The report came back, he is in Dothan. Then he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Oh, my Lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, O Lord, open his eyes so he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord. Now, isn't it interesting? Let me just add here. We talk sometimes about the power of prayer. Here's a man in the Old Testament. Imagine what it would be like if I could pray and instantly all of you couldn't see. Or imagine what it would be like if I could pray and instantly all those who were blind, their eyes would be open. That's pretty amazing power, is it not? Isn't that pretty awesome? I think it is. We have not yet begun to scratch the surface about what we can do with our prayers if we're in the will of God. Well, let's go back to the story. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, strike these people with blindness. So he struck them with blindness, as Elisha had asked. Elisha told him, this is not the road, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you are looking for. And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see. Then the Lord opened their eyes, and they looked. And there they were inside Samaria. Again, let me pause and say, let me try to put this in perspective. It would be like somebody in Afghanistan, maybe, and they were taking a trip, and when they couldn't see, and when they opened their eyes, they were in the middle of Washington, D.C., or Fort Hood, or something similar. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked, Elisha, shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them? Do not kill them, he answered. Would you kill men you have captured with your own sword or bow? Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and then go back to their master. So he prepared a great feast for them. And after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away and they returned to their master. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. Well, this is quite a story. And there's a lot of application for us about it. And the title of the message, as I've already said, is With Eyes Wide Open.